I'm going to cover the metrics portions of the call today. And so, yeah, so right now we're 82.4%. Oh, before I get too far started, let me share my screen so we can look at some of these graphs and the agenda together on the video. So we're 80, share, I click share. All right, we're 82.4% of the way through the quarter. So that's Q2 fiscal year 2021. And so everything's on track on website traffic. Our goal there is to increase 20% year over year. So we've increased users 20% year over year. We're at 23.96 year over year, looking back to July 16th to July 15th. And then page views is over 20% as well. There has been a little dip here in July. I think most of that's just due to, holidays, other global events, that kind of stuff. But overall trend is still strong above our target goal. Moving on to MQLs. So, large is at risk. I mean, realistically, looking at the time we have and the pace we're on right now, I don't see that we're going to obtain the large MQL. But again, pipeline is still strong in that segment. And so while we want to hit 100% of this number, we do look at that and realize, we are hitting the pipeline goal. So, a little bit of like mixed news, but still it's not terrible news. And then mid-market, SMB are on track there. And then we still have pipeline generation. So we're just under halfway of the way through fiscal year 2021. Todd covered this on the marketing strategy call today. There are some discrepancies in pipeline as far as what we expect to actually, be available to close in the next fiscal year. So, I just adjust this down by saying, so take the big number in June. That's are some really big, future opportunities. Let's cut those down to a realistic June. And what does that give us? And so, putting June at kind of a more realistic level, that puts us at about 66.3% attainment for the year, with the pace to, kick over 100% on pipeline. So that's exciting. With that though, I've covered metrics, and I'm going to pass it over to Shane B to kick off show and tell.
Thanks, Shane R. So it is show and tell time, as you said. So anybody on the team who would like to share something they've completed this week that they're proud of, I invite you to do so. And it looks like first up is Danielle.
Awesome. So I just I'm just proud of this. I didn't complete much here because really everybody else did all these other wonderful underlying things. We had our first conversation in CMO staff. So for those who are fairly new to the team, well, this is a new team. For those who are fairly new to marketing, sometimes we haven't really had our OKRs figured out till we were a week into the quarter, and that can be kind of frustrating. So we're working really hard to get them done ahead of time. I asked you all for your OKR candidates, and they were all linked to this document. And I've sort of started to organize these more into themes. So we looked really good. We looked like the kid that was absolutely front of the class, hand raised, maybe a little bit type A as an adult. But please check this out because there's a lot here, and all of your work rolls up into it. The issues that you wrote, the initiatives you put together, the input you had on the strategy for your teams. This is by no means locked in, so we still can work on it, but it just gives us a nice framework to discuss and a good way to see what your teammates are working on. Especially under the website refresh strategy, I think it'd be really great to get more input since that's going to be a multi-quarter initiative and we want to phase that correctly. And that one probably go to Michael and Shane Bouchard to start. And then for things that are more around website operations like SEO, go to Shane Rice. He's also working on conversion. For content marketing, maybe start with Erica Lindberg if you're not on that team. But if you click through each of these, you can kind of see who owns what. And then for brand strategy, talk to Shane Bouchard, and then Becky's also helping here with some of the guidelines so that we can have the external folks in the company, if they're going to make contributions, hopefully those contributions can align so they make less work for the team. I'll own the strategy plan and budget overview, but I think this will be collaborative for FY22. At the end of the quarter, we want to have that prepared so that we're proposing our budget. Last year, we kind of received a budget and then had to work backwards from there. So thanks for making us look good, everybody. With that, I will hand it off to Shane Rice.
I clicked unmute, it didn't unmute, and then I had to unmute again. So here we are. I'm going to share my screen again and show you some of the work I've been doing in Google Analytics. This is in conjunction with Empirical Path, our analytics agency. They resell Google Analytics 360 to us, and so they help us execute they've helped me execute some changes to how we report things. So I just want to show you what CTA events looked like, say, last month and before that. So before we had Google Analytics 360, we had some really strict limitations on what we could see in an unsampled report in Google Analytics. And so the way I worked around that was to use events and then use the event label as kind of a really dense home for lots of information. So you can see here, you see, the link that somebody clicked on, what page they were on when they clicked that link. Behind that, you have startyourgitlab.com free trial. That's their, the click text. You see the CSS selector of the event they clicked on. You see where they clicked to. All these things are captured in the event label. It's great, but it's really dense. And to really get any useful information out of this, we've got to put this into Google Sheets, split everything out, and then combine it. And it's a very manual process, right? You can't even get it in a Data Studio for a dashboard. So fast forward to today, if you start, we actually launched these changes the middle of last month, so around June 14th or 15th, I think was the date. But if you just look, say, go back at July 1st and look, and so if you go to CTA now, what you will see is you'll see the page that event happened on. And then we added these secondary dimensions so we can see additional information. So we can see, okay, so we can see the click class, what the button looked like. We can see click text here. We can see click URL. So if we want to look at, the home page and see where people are clicking on the home page, we can see it's, free trial. They're clicking on demo. We can see how many times they did that. And then if we go back to all categories again, we have all of our, as it loads up, we have all of our forms are now in a single category called forms. When you go to event label, now you can see all of the different form events. So like, we have resources, webcast, trial, demo, SaaS trial click. So right now, we can't view into the SaaS trial funnel when somebody actually submits a SaaS trial. And so the most we can do at this point is just see the click into gitlab.com. We're working on rolling out some changes where we'll still be able to track that funnel completion for users that are logged out and actually have that data to see how often people are clicking on free trial to gitlab.com and actually completing the trial process. And again, this has all the same secondary dimensions. So if we need to see, what page they were on, those kind of things, we can always, dive deeper into the data that way. So, but it makes it a lot easier to pull this data out in Google Analytics, as well as display this information in Google Data Studio. So it's not something it's completed this week, but it's something that we've been working on steadily over, the last, 6 weeks. So I'm excited about the results there. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Michael.
Yeah, awesome. I thought since I shared the link in the chat, I might as well just do a quick overview. Let me just share my screen. So what everyone sees this here, great. So what I really think was great, again, as Danielle mentioned, just how collaborative and in the open this was. We kind of took a stab at some requirements and through excellent conversation and just really limiting a single individual's blind spots, getting an understanding of what we need, which then we pulled into a spreadsheet. And there's a few things we wanted to clarify. Like one, with this requirement, does a CMS actually solve this? Because there are some things like, easily choose and apply a tested template. That's more a design system. So really making sure we are talking about the right problem space and who the group it affects, and then starting to rank them into must have, should have, could have, which is on Shane Bouchard's recommendation, which is great. And it's really nice to see the team understanding that we are going to have to prioritize some of these features, because in the past, definitely have worked with some teams that are like, it's all necessary. And it's like, well, is it? So Lauren, Brandon, and I are frantically targeting end of day to go through all of these options that we have ahead of us and ranking them. And then we'll have a little bit of weighting against the must have, should have, could haves, which will ultimately result in a score. So we're going through some like qualitative, like let's talk about it, let's talk it out, and then let's apply some numbers to it. And we're not necessarily going to just say like, oh, this is the highest number, we're going to choose it, because Adobe AEM, that's a huge platform, it's super awesome, but it's a black box and it's Adobe, so we can probably make something better. But at least we've done our due diligence and we're informed and have our eyes open. And what I'm really enjoying, Erica Lindbergh is doing, and Rebecca are in here, and we're doing a lot of horse trading around like must-haves and should-haves. So I really, really appreciate that collaboration to make sure we're getting what problem we're solving right, and that we're solving them in the right order for the people that are going to be the most affected.
Yeah, I think that wraps show and tell, and hand it off to you, Danielle, for shout outs.
Cool. Yeah, I have some shout outs. So first to Jean and Eric on the static site editor team, I had to learn a lot of information very quickly, and they were very tolerant and patient. And I kind of pulled them into this meeting with Sid and then discovered that maybe they hadn't actually had a lot of conversations with him. So thank you for letting me bump up your visibility and ask you a bunch of questions and maybe make a little extra work for you this week. I think we learned a lot and came to a better place together. We're super stoked to make personas for you, kind of from the perspective of content marketing. I also want to thank everybody by name who, and now of course this is frozen and I can't see. Okay, there we go. Jonathan, Brandon, Erica, Lauren, Shane, Michael, Hannah, Niall, Will, Bree, Valerie, and anyone else who participated in the thoughtful discussion of the CMS requirements. I think that was the first time I saw just team-wide discussion, and it was a really awesome issue, and I think it really modeled the way we want to work together on important decisions. So thanks for collaborating there and also just leading by example. So I'll pass it off to Shane Rice.
Thanks, Danielle. Yeah, so I want to shout out Samia on the product marketing team. She helped proof a document to compile a lot of plan information for test on the pricing page. So it's things we're going to use in the next test, but also text that we can switch out and test in multiple variants going forward. So really appreciate her help there and want to shout her out on this call. With that, I'll pass it over to Matt.
Sure, thanks. Wanted to first of all thank the brand and digital crew. I think in the last week, in the interest of GitLab value transparency, we've all been saying things that are going on in our jobs and our worlds, and successes and frustrations or issues we may be having. And I know it's not something that's really happened in a lot of teams I've been with before, and it can kind of snowball and become an issue later on. So it's awesome that everybody is hopefully feeling good about speaking up and, owning a success or identifying an issue. So hopefully we'll keep on rolling with that. And secondly, this one is going to sound super ass kissy, but thank you to the CEO. He had an AMA yesterday and asked him a question, because I've been here for a few months and I find that there's a lot of assumptions that are going to be made about Sid and how he thinks about things, and then decisions made from a person based on those assumptions. So I asked him, do people make unfair assumptions about you because you're a CEO or an engineer? He felt that people don't really make unfair assumptions, but what he does feel is people take a verbal thought he'll have and take that as an order. So he reinforced that like everybody who's responsible for their projects are responsible for their projects, and his thoughts are valuable, but they are not the be all end all word. So I thought that was a refreshing thing to hear from a CEO and very encouraging. So from there, we have Erica.
Hi, people. I just wanted to thank Monica for her ongoing support and help at the last minute for GitLab TV stuff. We work really well and quickly together, and it's super nice. And so I appreciate that. And then from there, Sarah Kasabian, I'm always going to be like, yay, because she really helps with digital production projects and has ongoing support and is working with us on some new OKRs that are coming down the pipeline. And then obviously the amazing Sarah Daly and Shane Rice, both in helping getting tooling moving forward, and then also just video tracking and like where are things going after the videos are up. So we've been working on those things, and I really just want to thank those folks for all their help. And Brock, once again, thank you for joining GitLab. So moving forward from there, Michael.
Yeah, another just quick thanks to everyone involved in the MPC one for the enterprise page. I think from idea to execution, it was 7 business days, which I'm new to the team, and I'm aware that's fast to me, and I'm aware with this team that's really super fast. And specifically Stephen and Erica Lindbergh, I know we're really handing things back and forth quite quickly with content and design, and laid down a good baseline that I'm really excited to see, getting Matt and the team on really elevating that. So very well done, and it's just the beginning. And I'll pass that back over to Matt.
Thank you. I just was reminded when Erica was thanking Monica to say thanks to Monica for the giant ebook layout buffet she prepared. So at some point it'll be you walk in and say like, I will have lasagna and stir fry for some reason, but she has prepared all these options so everybody can speed up the development of ebooks and different layouts for different amounts of content, different covers and all that. So thank you very much, Monica, for that. That was a lot of hard work and looks great.
Well, I think this brings us to the end of our agenda. Does anyone else have any other thanks or thanks for thanks? All right, I'm going to stop the recording.